and welcome to It's a Woman's World. Have we got a treat for you today? We're so excited to have Madeline Mahar Smith with us today. And she is coming from West Africa in Benin, where she's been in the Peace Corps for a number of years. Full disclosure, Madeline is my second cousin. Her mother and I are first cousins. However, I haven't met Madeline as an adult, so I haven't seen her for ever. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Barbara Lavallure, and I'll be your host today, and introduce my co-hosts, Beverly Crosby and Mary Harris. So thanks for being with us, Beverly and Mary. And Madeline, I'm just thrilled that you're with us today. I think you're probably our first person out of the United States in It's a Woman's World that we've interviewed. Uh, Please tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I'd like to start by saying I'm very honored to have been invited to speak with you today. A great group of women to be interviewed with. I was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri, and I was born into a family that loved to travel. So, from a young age, my parents put a lot of emphasis on seeing the world, seeing different cultures, really getting out of our comfort zones and learning to appreciate differences in different communities. So I think that that was a really foundational part of who I became. I studied sociology and communication studies at university, and always with the intention of being able to work somewhere on the African continent. Minored in French as well. And directly after university, I joined the Peace Corps. So that was in 2019. And of course, COVID put a wrench into a lot of things for people, but I found my way back into the Peace Corps after being evacuated in 2020. And here I am.
Great.
I have a question. You actually already answered it in some ways about your background, how it became your norm to travel with your parents. My question to you was I was going to ask you what inspired you to travel overseas. That's still a question because even though you have already done a lot of traveling, you know, is that, what goals did you set for yourself, or was it early on? How did that all come about?
Absolutely. Well, I was very blessed to be able to travel to the African continent for the first time at 12. My family took my brother and I, my parents took my brother and I to Tanzania to work on a medical mission project. And throughout that time, it was just 2 weeks, but we worked alongside Tanzanian people the entire time, hand in hand, working to build a birthing hospital. So that is truly what motivated me to continue my work in countries outside of the United States, but specifically on the continent of Africa, because the energy that I felt, even as a 12-year-old, I just loved the openness, the friendliness, the kindness, and the general energy of being in that environment and working together to bring something to fruition. And that is truly what still drives me to this day.
Wow. Here's what's catching my ear and my heart and my attention. I love that you were raised in the community and raised to uh, deal with differences of people. I'm interested in what did you find now to be the similarities or there's a thread I would imagine that you find through your years of being with different people and being of service. So are there some similarities you'd like to speak to that stick out for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of it comes down to the importance of human connection.
Hmm.
In all of the countries that I've traveled to, the beauty that I find is the people who find ways to connect and sit down and talk with one another, oftentimes over meals or over break times and sharing food. When I think back on the travels that I've had that have really been transformational for me, it's been through that sharing of food and sharing of conversation that has brought our bonds together and made us stronger. So really that sense of community.
Thank you. Excellent.
One of the things that I've noticed as we're Facebook friends, I've seen you put short clips, videos from your experiences in Benin. And I love the fact that you sometimes dress in the local traditional what, I'm not sure if it has a specific name. You can tell us that. But tell us how you have integrated, because you're also, I've seen you cooking outside and just interacting with people in a way that has me think that you are really part of their culture now too.
Mm. Wow, thank you for that. Um, I'll start by saying I think that for me, integration and the way that I've integrated is maybe truly one of the most fulfilling parts of the service that I've had here in Benin. Um, for me, integration is very easy, to be honest. No matter where I am, I'm someone who needs connection and I love to get to know people. So I find out the best way to do it where I am. Here in Benin, it truly has been getting a grasp on the languages, not only French, but also the local languages. In addition to adopting certain ways of dressing and acting and whatever, finding out what the customs are and trying my best to follow. So, of course, here in Benin and even in Tanzania, when they see strangers that are dressing in their local attire, they love it. It's so exciting to them because they see someone really truly embracing and appreciating their culture. So that's an easy thing to do. And it's fun, because the patterns that you see me wearing and the clothes, it brings a lot of joy. They're bright, they're colorful, and they're fun to wear.
Thank
Wow.
you.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
And where do you see yourself being 10 years from now, 20 years from now, given who you are, like this magnificent being, right? What do you
Yeah.
see in your future?
That is a wonderful question, and it's a large question that I've been grappling with, I think, for a
Mm.
while. Um, to be completely honest, I don't think I've ever seen myself in my life being somebody that settles. And
Mm.
so it's difficult to tell you where I see myself because I just envision myself hopping from one place to another, discovering new people, discovering new cultures. And so my hope is that in 10 years, I'm still continuing with my discovery of the world and with sharing my discoveries with people who are maybe back home and don't have that same opportunity.
Mm.
I couldn't tell you where it is, but hopping around the globe.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. Before sending you off in the future, I'd like to bring you back to where you are now. Okay. Um, okay, in your current position, you are coordinating youth education teams. Can you explain to us and the viewers what that consists of?
Absolutely, yeah. So I am collaborating between the Peace Corps and also an international NGO called Population Services International. And working with youth teams entails working with groups that were put together by Peace Corps volunteers in remote villages. So I stay in touch with teams through WhatsApp, through email, through phone calls. And these youth teams are carefully chosen by Peace Corps volunteer and by community members. They're seen as being role models and really bright citizens in their community who can help educate their peers on important topics such as reproductive and sexual health. And the idea behind that, of course, is that we're always going to receive that information in I would say, a deeper way from people that we know, people who we have connections with. And by offering peers to educate in their community, even once the Peace Corps volunteer has left, those roots will still be strong and they'll still be deep. So the youth will still be there to be able to answer questions. They've created that trust. They've created that position for themselves to be really a mentor to their friends in the community. So I really am there just making sure that the work is going well, asking how I can support them, what they might need to make their work stronger. And then I'm also an organizer of trainings that are done twice a year. I also get to pass by every once in a while and observe the work that they're doing in their communities to share ideas with them on how they can do that in a stronger way or really just motivate and encourage them to continue.
Interesting.
Thank you, Madeline. I that was a really good segue into my question about being role model. So for our viewers who are younger, I'd love you to speak to what traits have helped you to even apply for the Peace Corps. How do you apply for the Peace Corps?
Mm.
And I think it would be helpful for our younger viewers to hear what you have to say about that.
Sure. There are so many wonderful traits that we see, different traits among each Peace Corps volunteer. I think it's very important to just truly be authentic
Mm.
and authentic in a way that's not held back. You can't be ashamed to be exactly who you are because each of us has something special to share with the world. Um, Along with that, you have to have a desire, honestly, a true and deep desire to be in the Peace Corps and do this kind of work. It's not always easy. And if people are going in with ulterior motives, or they're like, oh, I just want to go and live somewhere else for 2 years, or I want to change the world, sometimes that honeymoon period can fade away and it becomes a lot harder to get through the more difficult moments. So I would say be authentic, be open-hearted, truly be here for the experience. And, maybe in preparation, get used to putting yourself into situations that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable and just get used to sitting in that and learning how you can work through that and push through it.
Great, thank you. Beverly?
I really like what you just said, putting yourself in, letting yourself be in situations that are uncomfortable, because that is part of life skills, getting through life, learning how to adjust. And, I'm really glad to hear you say that as well. Does your family come over? Are they still traveling, or did they come to see you?
Yes, my family is still traveling, and they actually did get to come see me a couple of years ago. My mom and my dad came over. It was truly so special. Before they came, I went and I got fabric and I had outfits made for them that we all wore together. I sent them a little vocabulary list of the local language that I speak so that they could practice some greetings, which is really important here. And it just felt so great, to be a child, right? But being able to lead my parents through this experience and really be the one that was in charge, translating from French to English or local language to English, and allowing them to see the life and the community that I've made here. I was really proud, and I think they were really proud as well to be able to be on that journey with me.
I have a second part of the question. You minored in French in college. Was
Yes.
that purpose? Did you have a purpose behind that? And do you use it a lot now?
Yeah, of course. Yes, I had a specific purpose behind it, and that was to come back to the continent and work in some capacity. I really actually wanted to study Swahili, but that's such a niche language. It's the language of that's spoken in Tanzania, but it's so niche that you'll really only find that in some large universities. So when I came down to it, I said, okay, maybe Arabic or maybe French. And to be honest, French seemed a little bit more attainable and within my reach. So that's why I decided to study French, as there's so many French-speaking African countries on the continent.
Très bien, très bien.
Oh, merci. And to respond to the question of do I use it frequently? Every single day. When I came to Benin in 2019, I was in a very remote village, and there I wouldn't find an English speaker for 2, 3, 4 hours from me. So French is truly something that I used for a majority of my time here, not only in casual settings, but now also in an office setting, in a professional environment. So it was a great choice that I made to study that and to minor in it.
I had no idea. I had no idea it was used that much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary, you were going to say something?
Well, yes, I don't have a question. What I have for you, Miss Madeline, is acknowledgement. You're just a bright light on the planet. And it's funny, as you're speaking, part of me is thinking, oh, I wonder if she'll go into politics. Oh, because you're committed to making a difference. And politics isn't necessarily the way. But the reason I bring up politics is that you are an inspiration. And it's very clear that you care. and that is real. Like you say, being authentic, baby, you are real. And I
Mhm.
just thank you and I appreciate the difference you make in the world. And I appreciate that I don't have a question. All I have is my awareness of who you are. So thank you. That's what I have. Thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you. Honestly, that truly touches my heart to hear that. And it's very kind of you.
You're so welcome.
Well, the journalist in me will always have a question, Madeline. So let's see. I would like to know when you have off time, like maybe a day or two or even a week away, what do you do? Where do you go? And what do you want to experience?
Okay. Wonderful question. Um, when I was in village, for example, I spent 2 years in a village. Now I'm in the economic capital for my third year. But when I was in village and when I would have a couple days off, I did not like to travel outside of my community. I really wanted to focus on deepening my connections to the community. So oftentimes I would take care of any housework I needed to do, and then I would leave my house, sometimes without an agenda, and I would just start walking. And sometimes I would say, you know what, Madeline, today you're just going to say yes to whatever invitations you receive. People here love to invite you to come and sit and eat or chat or do whatever. So that's often what I would do. I would leave my house and I would see where the day took me. Sometimes I would sit with women and I would be peeling yams, or I would be shelling peanuts and we would just be chatting. Or I'd find myself sharing a meal or sharing a drink with someone. That was really how I loved to spend my free time. But I've also been fortunate enough when I had a week away to do a small trip through a few of the West African countries. So I traveled through Togo, through Ghana, and through Cote d'Ivoire. And through that, just a mix of adventure and food and listening to the live music of the area. I really just like to get a feel for the pulse of the country.
Hmm.
That sounds really exciting.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's a progressive, very progressive. It sounds as if the city, you call it, two things are on my mind. One is I hear you saying economic capital. So I guess what does that term mean? And then the other one well, I'll have you answer that one first. How is that different than just a capital city?
Okay, absolutely. When I say economic capital, Cotonou, where I live, is truly where a lot of the money comes in. It's where the port is, it's where a lot of the markets are. So when
Mm.
people are coming to buy and sell, Cotonou is the main place. But the political capital of Porto Novo, that's where they have a lot of the official buildings. People go for meetings. Um, and a lot of like the political aspect of things happens in Porto Novo, where the economic aspect of the country is really based here in Cotonou.
Okay, that's definitely makes sense. Okay,
Mhm.
then the other thought I have is women and men. Are women encouraged to get an education? Do women hold the same type of jobs men do there? Wondering if there's a cultural difference there.
Sure. Uh, that depends on the area of the country, I would say. And I would also say it depends on whether you're in a more rural setting or if you're in a larger city setting. One thing that's really amazing about Benin is that there are more than 52 cultural groups, very unique cultural groups in the country alone. So some cultural groups, I would say that the women do hold a more equal um, place in the house, in the community. There are other ethnic groups here in the country where women might have a more traditional place in the home and in the community. But overall, I would say that Benin is placing an importance on women having access to education, girls having access to education, and definitely in the office where I am now. I love to say that a lot of women in the office are holding the highest position in their department. So, for example, the head of my department is a woman, and she's not alone in that. So, yeah, Benin is definitely, I would say, progressive in that way, and they are trying to fight to work towards more equality and women in more places of leadership here.
Mm, mm. And the music, I want to know the music. You must hear some amazing, amazing sounds,
Mm.
and the smells and the textures of life. You are experiencing life at an amazing level. So, anything you want to say about the music that you listen to personally, or the music that's around town? Anything?
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of different facets of music here. West Africa in general is really getting onto the scene in contemporary and popular music. You know, there's Burna Boy who comes out of Nigeria. There are a lot of people from Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, who are really making a scene in even international stages. We have African musicians who are now performing with Selena Gomez and oh man, just so many of the big artists that people in the United States know. So that's cool to be here because there is um, that bass and Afro beat and so many different influences that we hear. But one thing that I really love is that West Africa has a large jazz scene.
Mm.
And it's really fun to be able to hear the jazz influences being from Kansas City. I'm very familiar with jazz and how that's mixed with some of the more traditional sounds of West African music. So yeah, it's fun. It's a great place to be for that.
Thank you. I feel it. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm curious, Madeline, if you have any connection with visitors from like the State Department in terms of the Peace Corps, and if you thought about going into the Foreign Service, for example, after your time in the Peace Corps, is there a limit to how long you can work for the Peace Corps, or can you ask for a transfer to some other place if that's what you want? I'm curious
Yeah,
about that.
especially since moving down to Cotonou, I have a lot of contact with foreign service officers here. So we, on a regular basis, get to speak about, what their trajectory was, what they do now. I personally am not very interested in going in that route. Mary, I know you said earlier you were wondering if I was interested in going into politics. To be completely honest, where I find my passion is really on the ground. It's working
Mm.
side by side with people and not in an office. So while I know that changing policy is oftentimes one of the best things we can do to help push development forward, that's not
Mhm.
really what speaks to my heart. Um, I could absolutely get a transfer. One of my friends just got a transfer actually to Zimbabwe to do work for another year in Zimbabwe with the Peace Corps. But also, I have to consider the fact that this is a volunteer position. And for a large majority of my 20s, I've been volunteering in the Peace Corps. And it might be time for me to start thinking about earning a little money, putting a little something in the savings for later. Who knows what will happen down the road? So it's not something that I'm considering at this moment, but who knows what the future holds. Maybe I could come back later in life to continue on with Peace Corps.
Mm.
You are,
Thank
it's
you.
such an exciting place in your life, really. Many, many windows open for you. Uh, Being that there's 52 different cultures there, you must experience some wonderful food variety. You probably have whatever you would like.
Hmm. Yes, I would say when Peace Corps volunteers first arrive here in Benin, food might be one of the things that's most difficult to get used to, if I'm being honest. We don't have as many of the comforts of home that we're accustomed to. However, after being here now almost 4 years in total, I love the food that we have, and I know it will be something that I really miss when I go back to the States. I traveled back to my village last weekend, and I had a list of things that I needed to eat while I was there. Things that bring such comfort and really hold a lot of great memories. So there's, for example, I'll just tell you one dish. Something that people eat very often. It's called bouillie, which is it's a type of porridge, and it can be made from a base of corn or millet. And they always serve it hot. They dump sugar in it, and there are some like kind of donuts that you can eat alongside it, whether they're sweet or they're savory. So my favorite is a millet porridge with a bean donut that you dip inside of a spicy sauce. And it really is truly so comforting. It's something that when people come back from the farms after a long day, maybe it's around 5 p.m. and the sun is going down, they get a warm bowl of bui and they have some lovely warm bean donuts on the side. And it was just always such a great part of my day. So,
That does sound
Ooh,
like comfort food for sure. Oh, how fun. How fun.
I have no no
Oh,
further questions. I really don't have a question. I'm just delighting in all of this. What a great way to spend the morning. Thank you.
oh, thank you.
Welcome.
yeah.
And only have a couple of minutes left. So I'd like to ask you if there's anything that you'd like to share that we haven't touched on, any subject or something you'd just like to share with our viewers.
Oh, that is a wonderful question. Where we are at in the world right now, I think there's a lot of fear of otherness. There's a lot of fear of things that we don't know. And one thing that's so important for me is just that people understand that all across the globe, people are people. You know, we have love in our hearts. We want the best for our families.
Hmm.
And the politics of what's going on in each individual country does not define the people of that country. Um, I hope that people can try to look a little bit deeper and open their hearts for humanity. And, maybe be brave to try to explore something new or discover something new, to learn that really, we're all connected and, just a little bit more love for everybody around us.
Words of wisdom. Beverly, do you have any last question?
I'm just thinking how lucky all of those youth, all the people are for having you work with them over there, for you giving of your time and of yourself. I can tell you're really passionate about what you do, and you're just a true blessing to many people I know. So thank you for doing what you're doing and touching people's lives in the way that you do. That's very honorable.
Well,
Thank you. Thank you. And I do have to say, that, honestly, they touch me more than I touch them. So,
Madeline, this has really been fun, and it's great to see you flourishing as I would expect you to, just knowing your family and my family. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, being our one and only person outside of America that we've actually had as a guest. It's been really great, and thank you, Beverly, and thank you, Mary. It's been a great It's a Woman's World. Tune in next month. Thank you.